Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today is going to be an unplanned video, and unfortunately it's not a great unplanned video. So as you guys know, I am a ludicrously massive Seiko fanboy, and even as I'm recording this, I'm also wearing my new Seiko Sumo. Other wrist is actually the Casio G-Shock. I'm wearing two watches today. But I've said nothing but nice things about Seiko, especially the JDM Seiko watches. I've made no secret of the fact that of all the watches I own, they're still my favorite brand, and I love them to death. And unfortunately, I had some issues with one this week. And, you know, as I try to be honest with you guys and share my personal experiences with you, and in particular, the issues I had were the watch that I've highly recommended, I want to make sure that I shared my experience with you guys so you guys were aware. So as you guys know, mid last year, I picked up a SARB035, which actually happens to be here. And, you know, in the initial unwrapping, I mean, you guys saw me, my jaw basically hit the floor. I was blown away by it. And in the following review, which has done pretty well, thank you guys so much for watching it, I've made no secret about the fact that I adore this watch. And I still adore this watch. Honestly, it is my favorite dress watch I've owned. And, you know, my poor Hamilton and other watches never really get worn for dress purposes. This is definitely my default watch that I go to. Unfortunately, I happened to wear it yesterday and it had some sort of an issue. So I'd been wearing it all day and I was cooking dinner, was sitting on the countertop. I'm very gentle with my watches. It hadn't been banged in anything or anything of the sort. And I went to go check the time and I realized it stopped running. And my first thought was, you know, maybe it's just not wound enough because I'd only been wearing it like half of a day, but I'm thinking that still made zero sense. So I shook it a little bit, I wound it some more, and the thing would just not start. I don't know what the deal was. If there was some issue with the mainspring, I'm not really sure what happened, to be honest with you guys. So I ended up doing something that I would never do, and of course I don't recommend that you do, but I took the case back off and I jump started the balance wheel. But the short end of it is I got the watch running again, and it's been running ever since, and it's running beautifully right now. So I don't know what the hiccup was with the watch, but it definitely stopped, and no matter what I did to shake it or wind it or what have you, even changing the time, it just did not want to go. It was only when I jump started the balance wheel that I got the gear train to start going again, and it's been running for, you know, about 24 hours at this point, and it's running well. So I have no idea what the fluke was, and I just wanted to share that with you. But another thing that was interesting is I'd never taken the case back off this watch before. You know, I take case backs off of my watches I don't really care about because I'm just out of curiosity to see how they're put together. But the watches that I legitimately really like and care about, and the SARB is definitely one of the watches that I really like and I really care about. There was no way I would have opened the case back unless I had to, because the last thing I want to do is to disrupt the integrity of the watch or to screw with it. But I was kind of in a situation where I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't know, I mean, I really didn't know what to do. I just wanted to figure out what the heck was going on with it. And in doing so, I made a discovery that really kind of caught me off guard. So as you can see in the pictures, there's an interesting marking on the inside of the case back of this watch. And I gotta be honest, when I first saw it, I felt a little sick. Now, what I'm talking about obviously is the fact that it says China case, and it's marked on the inside of the case back, China. Now, I have nothing against products made in China at all, as I said in the G-Shock review and a bunch of other reviews. I mean, odds are you're watching this video on a device that was assembled in China, so nothing against Chinese goods at all. But I think I was really taken back because, you know, the watch says made in Japan. And, you know, we all know, or most of us know, that, you know, Swiss made is a really kind of goofy fallacy, that how they define something as Swiss made is very ambiguous. You know, I talked about on my channel about how Shinola got in trouble in the US for calling their watches, you know, made in the USA. There's a bunch of goofy guidelines. I'd never really checked the facts, to be honest with you, but for whatever reason, I was under the impression that in Japan, that most of the watches that said made in Japan were 100% made in Japan, and I just discovered yesterday that's clearly not the case. So I'm gonna do some research, I'm gonna look into it. I don't know what exactly the rules are, but clearly this watch has a Chinese case on it. Now, I will say, in taking it apart, the case is still phenomenal quality. Even unscrewing the case back and holding the case back in my hands, it's amazing. And, you know, the metal retainer ring too, everything is ludicrously well done. This has zero impact on the quality. I think I was mostly kind of taken back in that, you know, I guess for whatever reason, and this is probably because I have a very strong pro-Japanese bias, that I assumed that the Japanese were doing everything in-house for their made-in-Japan watches, which is not the case. So I think I was a little disappointed in that, to discover that. And, you know, part of it too is, again, I have this massive love for Japan, is I really thought I was buying kind of a piece of Japanese culture, which is not to say that I'm not, but I was very much buying into the emotional aspect of having an all made in Japan watch. And clearly this is not the case. So I just wanted to share that with you guys as well, as far as I know nobody else has really talked about this. So again, the watch stopped running. I really don't know what the issue is. I'll let you guys know if I have any further issues with it. I still absolutely, I can't understate this enough or overstate this enough, adore this watch. Absolutely love it to death, and I plan to keep it forever. When I bought it, I had zero intention of ever selling it, and I still feel the same way. But I just want to let you guys know that there was a hiccup with it. I don't really understand what the issue was, and as I've discovered, at least in the case of the SARB, I haven't taken the case back off of the SARGs or my Sumo or anything like that, because again, I don't want to disrupt or take apart a watch that's running well. That's the last thing in the world I would do. I suspect some of these other JDM watches have Chinese parts in them too. Now, you know, it's kind of a known secret that a lot of these high-end Swiss watches do the same thing. You know, Rolex is an exception. There's some standout exceptions, but even Omega and others have been accused of using Chinese parts. And I could go on and on and on for all the other companies that do it as well. So it's not like they did anything wrong, but again, it's just something that I wasn't expecting, and frankly, I am a little bit disappointed with. And I'm also obviously disappointed that the watch had a hiccup. Now, they're mechanical machines. Things go wrong. Stuff happens. That's life. And, you know, part of me honestly believes it's going to keep running fine ever since. I'm assuming it was just a hiccup. So we'll see how that goes. But again, I've recommended this watch. I know a lot of you guys have bought this watch because of my recommendation, and I wanted to make sure that I shared this with you guys, and you guys know how my experience is going. So with all that said, guys, thank you so much. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below how this makes you feel. Does it bother you to know that these watches have Chinese parts in them now? I mean, how do you feel about that? And just your comments in general. As I always say, I may not be able to reply to you guys, but I definitely try to read all the comments, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate us all being part of this community. So, well, that said, guys, I'll go ahead and catch you guys in the next video. And to do so, if you haven't already, subscribe somewhere around my general periphery to my channel. Thank you guys so much, and have an awesome day.